Hi, my name is Nikki Lerzak. I'm the Instructional Services Librarian at Genesee Community College, and this video is to talk about a career information search. If you're looking for information on a particular career, we usually look for some basic topics. We usually look for information like what does it pay, what do I need to have as my degree or education, or do I need a particular certificate to do that career? What are the working conditions like? What is it like to do that job? Is it hazardous? Is it long hours? And what is the forecast or the trends in terms of, is this job a hot job? Will there be a lot of openings in the near future? So these are the sort of things that everyone tends to look at when they're looking at careers. There are some good career websites out there, but there are also some more questionable ones. So we're going to practice looking at different types of resources on the web. The first thing I would do is, if I'm looking for the salary information for a wind turbine technician, I'm going to type that in. And I can see that I've got a number of pieces of information thrown right at me, and they even know where I am, so they gave me local information. But what we usually want to see in a website is transparency. Where are they getting their information from? How did they determine that? Is it crowdsourced through their website? Are they taking information from another source? I would want to know, where is this information coming from? And so when I scroll down, I see that Indeed.com has a website here, and I know that Indeed is a big name. So I would click on this, and it tells me the salary, 471 salaries reported. I'm guessing to their website, doesn't really say. Oops, let's get rid of that. So I'm just going to scroll down a little bit, looking to see if there's somewhere where they tell me where this information comes from, how they've got this information. They do want me to rate it as useful or not useful. I can see that in a lot of places. Again, based on ratings, I guess, by website visitors, they don't say. And so I come down here and I'm like, is there a spot where they tell me our information, our process? I don't see that. They do have an about, which I usually would check out, but this tells me about the people that visit and then working for them and how I can visit the various services they offer, but that's what it has. So Indeed.com does not give me any kind of transparency about where and how they determine the information they do have. PayScale, on the other hand, which was another site that comes up in our list, average wind turbine technician hourly pay. So they've got it, information, and again they tell me this is based on 245 salary profiles. I'm guessing that's from their site. I'm not entirely sure. They do have a what's this, so I can click to find out what their different parts are, but I'm going to scroll down looking to see if I can find where their information comes from. So they do tell me that they're basing this on salaries, but again, this doesn't tell me from their site, I assume, but I would want to know, right? Just tell me where you're getting that from. So I'm scrolling all the way down. And when I get to the very bottom, just a little ways down, I do see that over in the corner they have something they call methodology. And the methodology tells me how they get their information. So they do salary surveys. They have a database of salary profiles, their data collection, how they do their data collection. Now, will the average human being really want to know all this? Maybe not, but it at least gives me that transparency and that sense of satisfaction and trust that I know where this information came from. They're not just hiding that. So that's good. The other thing that might be something I would want to see in a website list would be a trade association. Many careers have trade associations, and that association will do a routine survey. Once a year they'll survey their members to find out what is the average salary going in parts of the country, what are the job duties like in parts of the country. So trade associations are another good one that I would take a look for when I want to see salaries, because I know they like to keep up on what their members are making. If I come up here and I say, okay, that's salary, what if I wanted to know what degree is needed to be a wind turbine technician? I've got some sites that come up here, and this top one, study.com, seemed interesting. So I click on that. And And I see show me schools. Perfect school search. There's lots of schools over on the left here. So here's job description and salary. I have a date, which is always nice. So they also cite where their information came from. They tell me the source is from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is a very reputable site, so I'm happy to see that. So, okay, I've got where it's coming from, how current it is. They tell me about the required education, the required skills, which is good. This is right what I was looking for. They've also got more, obviously. And as I keep going down, and the left over here, I've got lots of different universities. If I keep going, I've still got more school stuff. There's a lot of college, university, high school stuff going on here. And so again, I want to come down and know a little bit more about them. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and I'm going to go to their about. And yes, they make education accessible. So they are in the business of education. So the fact that they're giving me information about a career, but also have a lot of school information now makes sense. They're a platform that helps people learn. Okay, so now I assume that that's also the main thing that they're doing here. And in fact, there's an article here out of Forbes from probably not 3920. But it tells me that it is an online learning platform and an increasing number of universities recognize those courses for transfer. So study.com is essentially an online college. So I am wary of anywhere where I know that their main business is actually getting you to sign up for courses. That makes me a little less happy about them. All right, let's go back and do some working conditions now. The working conditions, I'd like to point out, actually really pops up a lot of what I think is the best sources of information, which I have sort of ignored until now, is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, government sites. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics website is the gold standard for a lot of career information because their whole job is to keep labor statistics for the country. So obviously that's their main thing. I also see energy.gov, which would be the Department of Energy or the Department of Government that has to do with wind turbines and the nation's energy systems. So that makes total sense to me that they would have information about that career. I've also got the state level, and I thought I'd point that out. So I've got IllinoisWorkNet.com, and they've got some information on here. So they tell me a bit about the working conditions. In those conditions, in that setting, you would have relationships, you would have physical work conditions, hours, travel, and then it tells me it's brought to me by the Illinois Career Information System. So, and then it's from then further the Illinois Department of Employment Security. So states also usually get into the whole job statistics, job information, because they'd like employed people. And then lastly, if I was interested in the career forecasts for this position, again, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It came up every single time for every category I looked at, which is why, honestly, most of the time it should be your first source. So I've got the job outlook, what it's going to do. They even highlighted basically the answer to my question. So here it is, not only put me in that section, but highlighted it. So they're like, hey, here's what it's like, which is great. And now, what I also think is really fabulous out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics is that they do have a spot down here for more information and a link to this thing called ONET. And ONET is really great because they've also got a page on wind turbine technicians, and I have to click the link to go to it officially. It's a little bit of an intense looking website though. There's little pluses all over the place where I can make more of something. So I can see information. Every time I have a plus, I can click on it and do things. This is not the friendliest looking website. But up at the top, you can see view report. I've got summary. This is the summary. There's more. There's details. There's custom. There's all these different little categories with tiny font. And then there's something I saw called Easy Read. And I was all about Easy Read. And that comes from, they call it their sister site, My Next Move. So I said, sure, let's go there. Look how friendly this website is. What is the knowledge I need for this career? What are the skills I need for this career? What are the abilities I need to have for this career? What do they do? On the job, I would do this. There's a video. They give me some other names, which is great, right? Because maybe there are job openings, but I don't know that it's also called wind farm support specialist or field service technician. That's great. And then down below, I've got one of my favorite categories, which is what kind of a personality works best for this career? What tech might you need to use? I just find this page to be so friendly and so easy on the eyes that I thought this is a good one to know. So there are a lot of good websites out there, but there are also some websites who don't really share why and what they're doing, where their information comes from. And I think if you're going to use information you find online, you probably would like to know those things about them.